Hello and great day to you, everybody. I send you soulful vibes, soulful energy. My name is Shawn Francis Coleman. I appreciate you all for taking the time out of your day and out of your life to share these moments of your life with me, and I am always appreciative of that. I am a psychotherapist, life coach, and author amongst some other things as well within my duties as a representative of Perspective LLC. And it's a privilege for me to be able to make these videos and to share them with the universe, and also for you all to share your feedback and your energy and your own thoughts with me. I did want to spend a brief amount of time talking about one of the questions that I've seen come up in therapy and just in general talks with people that I have, just friendships with and family ships. I made that word up. But also people that I'm just associates with. And one of the things that some people struggle with is figuring out how to. Some people want to know how to be liked more. They'll say, how do I become a more likable person? And then on that same continuum, if you will, other people will ask, well, what am I doing to not be liked? Or how do I create a better relationship, a situation with the people in my life to where they will like me more. Some people are really focused on being liked, and not just because I've heard it so much in therapy, but I think that in some parts of our life, phenomenologically, I think that some of us, if we're being honest with ourselves, we want to be liked on some accord. Now, me, I'm the type of person where I don't really care if people like me or not. But I've had to do some soul searching. I've had to do some re-evaluation of that for me, because sometimes you can be to the extreme with that, and sometimes not caring is okay because you could really just live as a free spirit. But sometimes it can exacerbate things, because when you don't care what other people think, you really start to rub people the wrong way, and people misinterpret you, and people get repugnant. So I want to just briefly talk about the idea of likability, and how to deal with the situation where you believe that people do not like you. And we'll just start there. How are you coming to the curious conclusion that you're not being liked, right? So one of the first places that I think is important to address is just your assessment skills, right? Because you have to be assessing yourself with other people, and maybe other people with other people, and maybe even yourself with yourself, right? There's a lot of different angles of the conversation and the idea in itself of likability and dealing with other people not liking you. You got to assess that. I don't think anybody can come to that type of conclusion that people don't like them, or that they're not being liked, if they're not assessing things, right? And you could be wrong, but you also could be right. Sometimes whenever I feel some negative energy between me and other people, what I'll do is I'll be respectfully curious, and I won't go up to these people with any tough guy stuff. I'll just I'll ask, like, hey, like, every time I'm around you, or we're around each other, I just feel some different energy between us. It feels like it's tension, like, I don't know what you feel. I could be reading into it too much, but can you tell me anything about that? What do you think? So I'm not being a tough guy, like I would have been whenever I was 19 or 21 or 22. I'm being respectful, and I'm being respectfully curious, and I'm opening it up to see what the other person feels like. And it allows me to either validate or to wipe away or invalidate my own assessment of things, because sometimes you could be wrong. This will be an arrogant example, and I try not to be an arrogant person. So if I'm coming off as that, I do not mean to do that. But I remember I was working at this place when I was 23. I think I was 23, and these group of females just kept, like, every meeting, they were just looking at me, and I'm like, and I felt like they were, I don't know, maybe it's because I don't know what the reason was. I had my own thoughts in my head, but it seemed like they were looking at me as if I was inferior and they were superior. And it seemed like, they just, like they were just like, repugnant of me and looking at me in a pejorative way. So, one day, me and one of the young ladies happened to be in passing. I said, can I talk to you for a second? And she said, yeah. I said, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I could be reading things the wrong way. Pretty much the same way that I told you guys before. I said, but like every time we're in meetings, I just feel you and some of our other colleagues, you guys just always looking at me, and I don't know like if there's something on me in my face, or like if I am doing something to, cause you guys discomfort, like what's going on. And she was like, no, we just think that you're really cute. And I'm like, oh shoot, dang, this makes me feel really stupid right now. And like that, again, I'm not I'm not a person that likes it. I don't need attention. I feel like that story is, it is, I could have had other stories, but that story was a story that I just wanted to use because it really highlighted an idea that my assessment of things was inaccurate, and she seemed to be genuine in that. I guess they just thought that, I was eye candy, that they said. But it was an opportunity for me to check in with them and to see what was really going on. All right. So, I do encourage that. Be respectfully, curious about things, and, go check in with people, because you might be interpreting that you're not being liked. And maybe it's not that you're not being liked. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you are, maybe you are being liked, but you're interpreting the energy in a different way. Or maybe you're not being liked. Sometimes whenever I've checked in with people, and there's been some issues, I've lived around people, and, one of the men who I went to check in with, he said, yeah, well, you're not, you ain't my favorite cup of tea. I don't have any issues with you, but, yeah, I don't know why there's energy between us, but I don't know, you just kind of, I don't know. He didn't really have a reason for not liking me, but I have my own, I have my own reasons for why he didn't like me when I used to live where I lived. But again, we were able to check in. I did feel the energy. He did confirm that there was some energy that I was feeling, and actually, me and him did have a better relationship from there. It didn't get acutely better, but it did get better because we were able to at least address it authentically. All right. I don't want to give away I'm not going to give away all of the things that we talk about and that I coach people and teach, and also process with people in therapy. But one of the other things too is like, don't let bothered people bother you, and I had to learn that the hard way. And also empirically, I just don't go into my own mind and think, okay, well, what does Shawn think? And whatever Shawn thinks, that's the way you deal with it. No, I research things empirically, I read things, but then I do come to my own conclusion as well. And, I do believe that a lot of people are bothered, no matter how confident that you think somebody is, no matter how charismatic and intelligent, and no matter how much you deify somebody or endear them. A lot of people really are not as big time, if you will, just to put it in layman terms. A lot of people are not as confident, charismatic, and just some of these more attractive adjectives that we like to give people, right? Some people on the inside are very bothered. I sit with people on a daily to weekly basis in counseling, phenomenal people, even myself, at one time in my life, I think I was much more bothered than I was willing to accept and willing to admit to people. And until I dealt with that, I was going to stay bothered. But when I came to terms with that and I started to work through it, then I became much less of a bothered person and started to accept myself. And as in my other videos that I've talked to you all about, I came to a point where I've loved myself. And a lot of people don't have self-love, or a lot of people are not at a place where they really are comfortable in their own skin. And some of the energy that they give you is what we call a projection. They start to project on you the things that they feel about themselves, and you're getting energy that really is not just and is wrong, but you're absorbing it, and you're starting to gain feelings and ideas that are not necessarily even yours. They're other people's, right? In counseling, we have something called projective identification, where people will start to project their own feelings on you, and they will look at you and they will see how you respond to it so that they can deal with their problems externally, right? So if I'm feeling insecure, I'll say, well, you know what, Charlene, you're just insecure. And then I see how she deals with that, and if she goes into her own mental faculties, into her own reservoir of insecurity, and she becomes depressed and stressed, then I identify with my own stress and depression by watching her go through it, right? And that's what a lot of people do. They're bothered people, but you cannot allow yourself to be bothered by bothered people. I mean, there's people, in my past friend life, there's people in my family, even, because let's be honest, some people in our family are bothered people, let alone it's easy to say some of our friends or associates are bothered, but we don't like to admit that some people in our family are bothered too. And sometimes you have to be comfortable with keeping people at a distance, because if you're not adding any negative energy to a relationship and people are continuing to attack you for no good reason, why should you have to deal with that? Sometimes you're not getting along with people because you shouldn't be getting along with them. They're not necessarily people who at that particular time in your life are healthy for you, right? And these are some things that I think sometimes therapists don't want to deal with, because we're supposed to be the fixers of things and we're supposed to, make everything right. But sometimes the cookie doesn't crumble like that, and you have to help people deal with situations where, yeah, this person is a family member to me, but this person is a bothered person, and at this time in my life or your life, maybe you're not supposed to, maybe it's a good thing for you guys to be a distance, right? One of my favorite ideas comes from a medical intuitive named Dr. Caroline Miss, and she says that there could still be union in separation as long as that separation is not done in malice. So you can be disconnected with somebody but still be connected with them, as long as your disconnect with them isn't done out of hate, evil, and darkness. I distance myself from people in my family, certain people in my family, all the time, right? And it's unfortunate, but again, sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. And I'm not going to allow myself to be bothered by other people who are bothered, no matter who you are, if you're blood or not. I understand family is family, but some humans make family a blood connection, when sometimes family to me is a spiritual connection, right? Sometimes friends are more like family and family are more like associates. So I'm not necessarily trying to encourage the idea that you should just, disconnect from your family or friends and break up things. But, if you're really not adding, I know what it's like to be attacked emotionally and spiritually by people in my friend life and in my family life, whether they be close family, distant family, in-laws, people who just calling each other family. Like, I know what it's like to be attacked by people spiritually and emotionally whenever I'm not doing anything to add any malice or negative energy to their life, right? And yeah, I think that sometimes you have to be comfortable in separating yourself from those people, no matter who they are, right? And you also got to be comfortable in tension. You have to be able to tolerate tension, which is really something that you have to master, right? If you think about sports, when I go into the boxing ring, people are in the other corner. Whenever I've sparred people that I had no idea who they were, I go to their gym or they come to our gym, and for at least for that moment in time, the other corner wants to let you know that they don't like you, and you really can't get caught up in the emotion and the psychological manipulation that is occurring, because if you get worked up in that, it'll just cause you to self-destruct. So you have to be able to tolerate some tension, because it happens in business. I've disconnected with people that I've been friends with for X amount of years, and we've done business together, and for whatever reason, there's some tension. We couldn't necessarily resolve it authentically and genuinely, and it didn't work out, but even sometimes whenever we had to deal with the problems, you got to be able to tolerate that tension. It's just a part of life sometimes, right? And I guess another thing that I wanted to, maybe I'll end with this, is that, and this might go back to maybe the part about not letting people bother you. Some people want to control you. People love control. I found personally in therapy with people that one of the bedrock problems with people's stress, no matter if it's depression, no matter if it's anxiety, no matter if it's suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation, no matter necessarily what it is, sometimes people have an issue of wanting to control things, and when they can't control things or people, it becomes a problem. So sometimes people want to control you, And because they can't control you, then they have a problem with you. They have an issue with you. And they won't really ever say, even if you check in with them and say, hey, you want to control me? You have to be really strategic in how you ask that question, because nobody's really going to tell you like, yeah, I want to control you. Yeah, I do. But people really want to control you sometimes, and when they can't control you, they start to sabotage things and manipulate things, or just they don't deal with you at all because they can't have the control over you that they want. And it really is unfortunate, because who are we to want to control other people? Who am I to want to control another person? I might have some influence over them, but we're not really in control of anything like we think we are. The spirit realm controls the physical realm, and no human being is in control of anything like we think we are. So I don't want to get off topic. I did want to give you all some different ideas. I like to be a little bit provocative, and I wanted to just give you some different insight into how you can deal with situations where you may feel like you're not being liked. And also, on the other side of things, if you're the person who maybe is, the person who is adding that negative energy and one of the people who is making somebody else feel like they're not being liked, what I encourage to you is to really go into your own reservoir of self-awareness and just yourself, and to be authentic with yourself and recognize, why are you doing this to somebody else, And I'm not necessarily pleading with you to stop, because I don't feel like I have to beg anybody to do anything necessarily for me, but I am requesting that you be authentic with yourself and ask yourself, is what you're doing to somebody else, is it really bringing out the best in you? And if it's not bringing out the best in you, that means that it's hindering you. So why hinder yourself and block the best person do anything at the expense of yourself? It just doesn't make any sense to me, right? And maybe that'll be another video. So with that said, I really appreciate you all giving me these moments of your life with you. Please go to PerspectVe.com, and if you haven't been there, or if you have been there, just check out some of the products that we have. Buy some of the books, become a client of ours. We'll love to hear you. Give me a call, have a consultation with you, and make sure you like this video, share the video, comment, and please subscribe to our channel. My website is www.perspectve.com. And make sure you take the I out of perspective, because sometimes to broaden your own horizons, you've got to take yourself out of your own perspective. My name is Shawn Francis Coleman. It's been my pleasure to speak with you. Take care. Peace.